Do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum. I was
Great.
hoping Dennis would be joined by now.
He's going to join you just momentarily.
Okay, all right. So we can go ahead and start with the agenda. Kristen, if you're not ready, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take that over. So first we have the attendance and guests introductions.
Okay, which we don't have any guests. And,
Okay.
Any
That's
chance
fine.
of sharing it, Brian, on the screen?
Oh, it should be on your screen, Lisa. Maybe you need to do some adjustment.
Lisa, I have a funky thing going on with mine too. If you change your view, it might pop up.
Oh, there we go. It's there now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay.
It just all of a sudden.
How about you, Colin? Can you see the agenda?
Not at the moment, no.
I think if you're in full screen, it will show up. If
Yes,
you're not in full
yes.
screen, it goes away.
Mine shows up in side-by-side gallery. If you choose side-by-side gallery for the view, it should pop up.
I can see Brian and the.
Hi, Dennis.
Hey,
And-
Jenny, sorry about that.
No worries. And I actually just realized Sean's not with us either. Is he?
Sean
Or
is
is he?
Sean,
Oh,
are
Sean
you
is
with us? You're muted, Sean.
Sean is muted. Okay.
Sean's with us, but appears to be muted on his end.
Okay.
Okay. Sean, if you can see the agenda, give a thumbs up.
Oh, no, he's on now.
Okay.
He's
I got it.
okay. And just FYI for people, if the pictures when you're in side-by-side gallery, the photo is on the right and the attachment, the agenda is on the left. And there's a little button, there's two little lines that separate the pictures from the agenda. And you can see more people if you slide that little button in the middle to the left. If you can see more people at once, in case you can
Okay.
only see a couple people. Okay.
Thank you.
So the next thing is the approval of previous meeting minutes.
All right, I motion to table that until Kristen gets a chance to upload them and send them out to everyone. Sean just sent them to her today, so.
I second that.
All right, and roll call. Kristen,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Colin.
Yes.
Okay. Tabled minutes. All right.
Okay. The next item is public comment and new business.
All right, well, since there's no one here, we don't need to worry about public comment, but there is something that I wanted to bring up that's not on the agenda that came up today as a question about motorized like mobility devices being allowed on the rail trail. Apparently they're not. No motorized vehicles of any kind are allowed on the rail trail. So there's no exceptions in the ordinance, which I do find very interesting. I don't know how an ordinance got created where they're prohibiting vehicles, but didn't make an exception for accessible, like motorized wheelchairs and things like that. But they didn't. So I did bring it up to Kim Turner, who's the Parks Commission head, and she's going to have it on their October agenda. And then I believe it'll end up, Lise Reed will have to request a change to that ordinance before the city council. I will be there to advocate at both the Parks Commission meeting and the city council meeting for that. All I can think of is that it was just one of those, oversights, those innocent ignorance oversights that, happen.
Jenny, do you mind if I ask, how was that brought to your attention? Did somebody complain or file something, or was there?
No, it was brought
just
up on
something?
Facebook by someone literally asking on a separate thread. They were just getting my attention there. and they posted a picture of the device, and they asked if it was allowed on the rail trail, if I knew if it was allowed on the rail trail, which I didn't have an answer to, but I got him an answer. And so that's how it was brought up. It was just through social media. Somebody that got is getting this particular product for their 80th birthday. They're looking forward to using it on the rail trail with their wife, and wanted to find out what the law, what the rules were for motorized vehicles. And apparently the ordinance is not up to par.
So, I mean, I would argue that a scooter or a wheelchair is not a vehicle, but I guess that's maybe tomato.
Yeah. I think
okay.
I think that the ordinance is too vague, where the way it can be read that those vehicles are prohibited because they're motorized. So I'm
Wouldn't it be
curious
the,
I think maybe if it's stipulated that it's for a single person, that would work. I don't know.
Well,
I
what
don't
know.
I mean, there are so many
You can't-
bicycles now. There are electric bikes.
Right.
Those are, and if regular bicycles are allowed on the rail trail, I would say that a bike that is somehow powered by battery would be equally allowed. I would think.
Actually, that it's interesting you should bring that up, because that was something that Kim Turner mentioned, because those are becoming a new thing. And she said that she noticed that Acadia National Park was allowing them, and she suspected it was going to be something that was going to start being requested here. So they're going to include that as well, because that's a new, sort of trend, those motorized bikes.
Right.
So yeah, the way the ordinance reads, it doesn't allow for any of it. And that's going to get adjusted. So, basically I'll just keep on top of it through, seeing it through the end to the city council, and, keep everybody posted as that progresses. But that'll be on
can
the
say
agenda
that
continuing.
I can share that I've not gotten a ticket.
I was thinking the same thing.
What I wanted to ask is if anybody knows, and Lisa, especially you would know, like, have you been on the rail trail? I'm imagining you have.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, my daughter has a motorized mobility scooter, and we've been on.
And no one's
plenty
ever
of
said
times.
anything to either of you? Yeah, I can't imagine there's any enforcement for that.
I can go pretty quickly, and sometimes
I would
people,
welcome it, actually. But
they
they,
they tease me and say, keep it under 50, whatever. But if I am going quickly, I act like a bicycle, and I say coming up on your left, and do all those same kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, but there are folks that have some pretty nice scooters. Like, they're not a chair, they're a scooter more, because they've got a front end kind of.
Right.
And some of those can really haul ass.
Yeah. So
burning up some rubber on the rail trail.
Yeah, they can. They tend to be driven by older guys.
right.
They can't drive the Mustang anymore.
Right. That's too funny. All right. So yeah, that'll be something that'll be on the agenda over the next few months until it gets, dealt with. But I'm glad it got brought up, because, I mean, even though it's not something that gets enforced, the ordinance needs to reflect what makes sense and what's not discriminatory. Not having those exceptions for motorized wheelchairs is definitely discriminatory, in my opinion. So, they're going to revisit that. So that's it for new business that didn't make it on the agenda in time.
So sorry, Jenny, just for my notes. So you mentioned the Parks Department meeting, and then the city council writes those amendments?
Yes, it would go to the city council.
Okay.
Per the request of the Parks Department and Commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'll be chiming in too with our, support from our commission.
Great.
Okay. So next is our ADA coordinator update.
All right, Dennis, you're up.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. So we had an issue for a couple curb cuts in between Custom House and where the art studio was.
Mhm.
And I went out there, I did some investigation. It's way out of compliance. So I kicked it up the ladder. I sent it to Tony Finari. He's still investigating it and figure out how he's gonna, rectify the situation. It is city-owned property. So it will get rectified. So that's in the works right now.
Excellent.
Wicked awesome, Dennis. Thank you.
No problem.
No, I really got stuck. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it was
I saw it.
disastrous.
I saw it, and it's a speed bump. It's not a curb cut. So
Yeah.
So then, Lisa, I also went to the Joy's Nest. You had an issue over there, and they were kind of in the middle of that. I'll call it a sidewalk, but it's not much of a sidewalk. So I did have them move and consolidate, and they also didn't have any handicap seating in there. So they are providing one table now that is for anyone with a disability. So that's also one thing. And
Cool. I'm gonna go have some noodles.
and let me know if
Yeah.
if it changed, because it's been a week. So you know how things change around there.
Well, they're new. They don't know.
Well,
Lisa, was that because they were all high tops or?
Yes,
Oh,
that's exactly
okay.
why.
Okay.
Then there's another thing kind of came to my attention is, so there was an ordinance that came out on the 9th. And it basically, it has to do with an ordinance regarding annual reporting on the condition and operation performance of city-owned buildings. So basically, it's all energy code kind of thing, but there is some language in there that talks about access. And it's interesting to me because, using the word handicap isn't the right word to use in this situation. I don't have to tell you guys this, but they changed ADA compliance and concerns to handicap access. That's the way it's the way it's written in the ordinance, which in my mind, it should have been changed to MAAB compliance, because that's kind of what we follow anyways.
Right.
But I'm just giving you guys a heads up because I think this should come from you guys. But
Okay.
I just want to bring it to your attention. It's just
That should be corrected. I mean, that's
Dennis, do you
something-
know what the ordinance, the number is, or?
Yep, I actually got it right in front of me.
And I'm familiar with this ordinance as well. I sat in on one of the meetings when they were discussing putting it together, and that didn't come up. Like,
Yeah, this is
you know.
Andy. If I could also add in there, because I've had some discussion with the sponsor and some of the other folks involved with it. There are actually 2 amendments involved. This originated with a desire to have the city ordinances call for energy efficiency with respect to building operations and new construction. The 2 different ordinances, the one that Dennis is mentioning is only one of them. But as Dennis mentioned, that particular section is now, if with the amendment going through to deal with energy efficiency, would be dealing with multiple things, accessibility, plumbing and electrical conditions in the buildings and so forth, structural, evaluation and energy efficiency. So it's a little bit mixed up in terms of, all the things that are being reported back as far as building conditions, in this case, accessibility. But I wanted to note, I think it's important to note that there's a 6 p.m. meeting tonight of the City Council's Planning and Development Committee that is discussing that. We had some exchanges relative to the energy efficiency portion of that, but if you wanted to comment on the, any language changes,
good.
it would be beneficial maybe to attend that Zoom tonight at 6
I
o'clock where they
plan
will
on
be
attending
discussing.
that meeting anyway on another matter. So
Okay.
thank you for letting me know that's going to be brought up as well.
Sure.
So I can comment to that. So, so Dennis, basically it says handicap accessibility where it should really say like MAAB standard.
Yeah, I'll read the exact line. Report shall include a minimum information regarding, but not limited to, overall structural condition and handicap access. And they kind of X'd out ADA compliance and concerns. So maybe they X'd
Okay.
the wrong one out. I don't know.
I wonder, that makes, ADA compliance and concerns would be more
The
logical
appropriate
to
thing to
me,
say.
right?
Right. I think it might be a typo.
It could have been maybe just be a Scribner's error. So I will bring that to their attention when I'm on that meeting at 6 o'clock. Okay. All right, great. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for catching that, because, you know, we want the language to reflect the times, and that does not. So, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I try to use that word as least as possible.
Right. Yes. All right. Did you have anything else?
The only other thing I had, Jenny, and I don't think me and you touched base, was you called me a couple days ago about Cashman Park and the handicap signage at the all those parking spaces.
Yes.
So I took a
Right.
ride by there. There's one sign, and
Yep.
there's like 180 parking spaces.
Right.
So I got a call into Paul Hogg, and he hasn't got back to me. So I don't know if he's on vacation, but my office clerk right behind me is he actually does some of the harbor mastering. He does some of the patrol. So he's
Okay.
gonna figure out something for me. He's just gonna get me a meeting with this guy so we can figure out how we can get the signage that we have, because it should match, like you said.
Yep.
All Newburyport should match. So I'm sure there's extra signs lying around somewhere.
There are. GPS has plenty. Yeah,
Okay.
we made sure to order extra for exactly these types of scenarios.
I'm wondering what's owned by the state though, and what's owned
and
by
I think that was
Newburyport.
something that Paul was trying to find out.
Okay.
So hopefully when you talk to him, he has figured it out by then.
Okay.
And yeah, that one handicap spot that is there isn't van accessible.
Nope. And it
So
needs to
that,
be.
you know, that's another element to it. And if there ends up being more than 8 handicap spots, I think it's 8, there needs to be another van accessible. I think it's 1 and 8.
Yep. I
for
think you're right.
handicap
I'll
vans.
Is that-
verify that though, but I think you're
Which
right.
part of Cashman Park are we
Yeah.
talking about? The boat launch or?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
The boat launch or by the restrooms?
I would say both.
Yeah, the parking is spread out pretty weird, but I mean, you know, it all counts.
There is, I haven't checked it recently, but we did have a sign placed at the new air quotes, restrooms by the playground. But I don't remember seeing it recently.
There
wonder
is
if it got
one
removed.
by, just by the little circle with the roses.
Right. That's the only one I saw.
Yeah, that's there. Same person is there most of the time. I don't know if they live
So
in the
right in front of the
complex.
if you're facing the restrooms and there are parking spaces that kind of face to that side where you'd be facing the fields, is there not one just kind of closest to that little wooden fence on the right side? Like that first space, almost up against the walkway that you'd walk over to the playground?
I don't think I saw one there.
Okay.
Well,
I
that,
could
So
have missed
the
it.
sign might be missing. I think the painting on the parking space was there.
I think you're right. Actually, now that we're talking, I think you're
And
right.
something might have happened. And I remember it was a while back.
Yeah,
I feel
I-
like maybe that sign got moved for some reason
I
and didn't go
asked
back.
I asked Kristen that they fix the walkway. The
Right.
walkway wasn't aligned with the sidewalk going into the restrooms.
It's very
walkway
awkwardly
was-
laid out. Yes.
Right. And so I think your predecessor did some work to get that fixed. So the hash marks and the walkway are now in alignment with the walkway into the restrooms.
So that may be why the sign pole
And so
had
it
been
might have got,
removed
right,
and not put back yet.
right. And there's little fencing there. So it made no sense for the walkway not to be where I suggested it be. And so it got moved. And I'm wondering that's the reason that the signage is missing.
Maybe.
well, it definitely sounds like we need to get it back, and probably some additional spots as well.
Oh, definitely.
So, Dennis, yeah, just follow up with Paul and keep us posted.
No problem.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Next was-
Dennis.
No problem.
And next is the budget update from Kristen.
I'm sorry, that's what I was digging around for,
Oh.
and I was unsuccessful, and I had gone back and forth with Melissa in Ethan Manning's office in June, and I thought that she had responded, and I didn't make a printout of it or save the file, and I just went digging through, and it doesn't look like I have what I thought I had, so I don't have an update for this meeting,
Okay,
but I will get
well,
one
that's
for
fine. We can
October.
table that for October. Yep.
Okay, next would be old business. And the first item is the Pioneer League area improvements, including the accessible playground update and the curb cuts and potential funding collaborations.
Okay, so couple of things on that. Kristen and I did attend a meeting to discuss the playground and the equipment at the playground and the layout at the playground. And I think that went pretty well. Kristen, would you agree, or what was?
I do agree. I'm really glad that we were there.
Yeah.
I think it was good to see the schematics that they were thinking of the playground placement. So to give you kind of a visual sense of how Pioneer League is laid out with the 2 baseball fields, and then to the far left towards the front, towards the street, Merrimack Street side, there's a little existing playground that is shared by the adjoining Community Action Head Start School. And they're going to be removing that whole area, making that into parking, and there's a lot of park improvements, but the initial schematics of the playground that they had presented were lovely, but quite boring. They do have a pour in place rubber surface that they're intending, and they have a great baseball theme for some climbing equipment, but it's just kind of, nothing does anything. There is a set of swings, but that's kind of off to a separate area. And you know, they were all kind of happy about how it looked, and I agreed, except I was kind of like, well, my kids would be like, yeah, let's get out of here in 5 minutes because there's nothing we can really do. So we did have a good dialogue with them. I think they're very willing to hear feedback about what the community is really interested in having. They have some really lofty goals for that whole area. Also connecting Lower Atkinson to Upper Atkinson, a path that kind of goes up that I never even really knew existed until hearing about these meetings. So yeah, I'm glad we were there. I think it's going to take, I think their goals are somewhat high arching compared to what sort of funding they might be anticipating, but hopefully it will go well, I think.
Yeah.
Anything
And
that I
so
could-
the other piece is that, and this ties into, I think, another agenda item with the ADA grant. Is that a separate item?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So Dennis, do you want to kind of recap the conversation that we had about what we're going to try to do with the ADA grant this round? Do we still have Dennis?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Here, but he muted. Yeah. there we
Sorry
go.
about that. Yeah, so I did a little bit of an investigation around town on some of the municipal areas for voting and things like that. And we saw that Lower Atkinson and Merrimack needed some curb cuts. And so I kind of gave my findings to Nancy. Nancy then submitted it and we got the approval for it, which was great. So I guess we have to put a cost together, which I think that's what Parks and DPS is working on, to give her a cost so we could submit on something so we can lock in the funding for it.
So that was approved through this cycle of the MOD grant?
Yes.
Oh, great.
So we just got to get that. We got to get the information to them about the pricing. I think it's October 10th or something like that.
Yeah, it's either the 8th or the 10th. It's somewhere around that first week of October.
So we're working
Yeah.
on that, and we're not gonna let that falter, that we actually got approval finally. So that's the plan
Cool.
right now.
And that is
Excellent.
because they're removing two of the existing removing one and adding two more crosswalks and improving one that's existing, correct?
That's correct.
For a total of 4.
It should be 4, yes.
Great.
Whew, sorry. All right.
Okay.
So that kind of, covers both of those 2 items, I think. And I just, I want to remind everybody that, the Pioneer League was started as an alternative to Little League, who at the time did not accept children with different abilities. And so the Pioneer League was actually, based on the premise that anyone could play. And I think it really ties in nicely with, what we're trying to do with the playground and creating more access to the area. I think there's a nice backstory for the application there. So, let's just hope for the best, and that'll be good.
Great.
Okay.
Next item
That's
is
great.
item B, outdoor dining accessibility updates and ongoing weekend issues.
So,
Right. Okay. So I'm sorry, Dennis. Let me just quickly give everyone a rundown. So I got a report from a resident who frequents the downtown that on the weekends, a lot of the outdoor dining is and signage is really encroaching on the sidewalks more and more. And this was something that they had observed at, multiple areas and, wanted to let me know about it. They didn't have any specifics, but I did put Dennis to task on it. So Dennis, go ahead.
So basically what I did is I did another walk around, and I spoke with managers and restaurant owners, mainly on Pleasant Street and State Street. Because I assume that's kind of where most of the action's happening when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah.
And as I did my walk, Loretta's had an issue, the Paddle Inn had an issue, and Agave had an issue. So it was
Right.
actually good that they had the issue, because it made my job easier when it came to talking to them about this, saying, I can't be here every hour. You guys need to really watch this stuff. Or, I threatened them a little bit. I said, we can shut down the outdoor dining or something like that. I said, you guys really need to pay attention to this, because if I continue to get complaints about this, you leave me with only one option. And
Right.
everyone was kind of when I started saying that, everyone became very perceptive. And I actually came up with my wife, and we were here on the weekend, and it looked really good on Saturday, but I don't know if anybody else heard anything else, because I know you guys are all out and about, and you will see it a lot more than me.
Yeah. And I haven't heard anything, about the Labor Day weekend. So it's hard to say, but I think it goes a long way when you get a chance to talk to the managers of the business owners, and even if they've been spoken to before, as long as we stay on them, and yeah, if they have a little bit of fear put into them, that's not a bad thing either.
No.
So-
Is there a formal documentation process that happens for those sort of things, like to note that, I won't call out the 3 that you've already mentioned, but to note that a specific restaurant has been kind of given a friendly warning once and then given a more serious warning a second time? And then does the outdoor dining ordinance allow for, I know the sandwich board ordinance, I think if you violate that ordinance, there's a fee, right? You get charged with like a fine or a penalty. So is there kind of a formal process that would be similar? I mean, short of, I'm all for threats, but threatening to shut down outdoor dining in a pandemic is a little mean.
It's sad. I know.
Yeah, it's sad. But I also think hitting them in the wallet is not a bad idea either. And that I just wonder if there's anything in place that would be something we could tap into, just
Right
to make
now
it.
there isn't, but what I can do is maybe I can generate I can generate a spreadsheet so I have something on record. We don't have anything implemented to give them like formal warnings as opposed to
No,
I get a
I mean,
complaint and
just
I
for your
don't.
own notes, right?
I
I think
do.
for our own notes purposes,
Yep.
just not to like issue them like the police give you a warning when you blew the stop sign kind of thing, not like that, but just for record keeping purposes. And then to say, oh, this is a repeat offender. They are
Mhm.
continually encroaching on the sidewalk. And now we say, oh, is that something that we should approach the city council for, Jenny, to say?
About if there should be a fine or some
If
kind of,
after your second warning, you're continually doing it, there's a $300 fine, or, I mean,
yeah,
it's basically like taking a handicapped parking space that you're not entitled to. It's almost the same kind of, I would
Yeah.
argue that it's probably more serious than taking a parking space because it's
it's
longer
a decision that's being made
affected.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of like
Um,
gross negligence, I think, if
Yeah.
you've been warned several times.
I do it with contractors as the building inspector. Once you do a bad job that's bad, you're on the list. And then
Right.
from there on up, I can't stop you from pulling permits unless you do something really bad. But if you just do a big mistake, I mean, some guys' inspections take 2 hours and some guys' inspections take 20 minutes.
Right.
So I do keep
Right.
a list when it comes to things like that, as opposed to like Loretta's. They're not on the great list because every time I walk around,
Every time.
they got an issue. It's too
Mhm.
bad because they get great food, but
Mhm.
not a place I can eat at anymore because I go there every time with bad news. But
Right.
but they're on my list, That's why when I go
Mm.
out for my walk, they're the first place I stop at.
Right.
Yeah.
There has
So-
not been a time when I have been able to get around that corner easily without some eye rolls and moving stuff, and with my son in his wheelchair.
And
And
it
his
shouldn't be
wheelchair
like
is
that.
not very
Really-
large,
That's
he's-
really disappointing
It is.
because that's disappointing because Ted, when he was on State Street, had a ramp and none of the other restaurants
Right.
did.
Yeah.
I
So-
don't think it's intentionally, so I don't believe that it's malintentioned. I just think that
It happens and people are not
it's a
aware.
haphazard corner, the way the sidewalk
Yeah.
is right there, and the brick and the curb and the planters, and now with the tables and the extended parklets and all that, it's just, it's
Yeah.
tricky.
I think training is an issue for Ted to his staff to make sure that, customers or staff don't move things once they're in a place.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I was also going to suggest if you do create that spreadsheet, Dennis, to make sure there's who you spoke with, what was discussed, and all that stuff. Date, of course.
Yep. Documentation. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I think does anyone remember who sponsored the outdoor dining this year? What counselor did that?
I would have to look back through notes that I don't have access to.
I'll find
right
out. I'll
now.
talk to
Yeah.
someone. And I'll see what we can't do about tweaking the ordinance for there being, some kind of repercussion for impeding on the ADA, compliance for the sidewalks, because we can't have that. So there definitely needs to be something.
I remember it
ordinance.
being very clearly laid out in the sandwich board ordinance of years ago, that
Right.
if they continually have an issue where they're putting the sandwich board in the middle of the sidewalk, and then they can be fined. It wasn't a lot. It might have been like $50, or it might have been even something more ridiculous, like $15. But whatever
Right.
the amount was, it was silly, but it was at least something to say, like, no, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that needs to be revisited too for a more, a higher fine. Because the sandwich boards are real, that's like a year-round thing
Mhm.
that's an issue. And it always is about who puts it out. If you have some new employee or someone that just, doesn't really follow all the rules of their business to a T, that's when that happens.
I do
Excuse
think
me.
that that's become less of a problem during COVID because they don't want to take up their outside space with those things. So that's
Right.
actually
And they're
one
not trying to
thing,
get
but
as many people inside
right.
as they are
but
having them outside. Yeah.
yeah, but it would be good to take a look back at that as well.
Okay. All right. So I'll put that on my my radar to pursue with the counselor and yeah, see what we can visit for that. I mean, the season's almost over, but I
When
suspect
is the
they're going to be
official
doing
day
it
that it
again.
ends?
I think they're doing it through October.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's like to November 1st or something.
And that's based
find out.
on the city, right? Not on the state. That's city decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's just part of the ordinance for it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Brian, what do we get next?
Okay, next is item C, which is website updates.
Oh, yes, Dennis, did you have any luck with anybody showing you what to do?
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. I do have good news. I was given access yesterday. So I have admin
Yay.
access.
Yay.
Okay?
I
So
feel like that gets a round of applause.
I know, right?
I feel like I need to bow.
Right, exactly. Give yourself a little like,
So my between Phil and Diane in my office, I'm gonna get a little run around on how to do it. And I would say, talking to Andy too, he says it's simple. So we should be all set. Monday, we should be
Okay.
all set.
All right, cool. So
Okay,
once you get
so-
all good and familiar, you and Kristen will connect and she'll give you all this stuff that we want to get on there.
Sounds good.
right, maybe we can do either a Zoom or just a conference call while we're looking at the actual website and, move some stuff, correct some stuff, add some stuff.
Sure.
That'd be awesome.
Might be a little slow because this will be
No,
my first time.
That's fine. And if it's not immediate, that's okay. But whenever we get a chance to do that, that'd be great.
Yep.
I have
Yeah.
to say, Dennis is killing it.
Really
I
killing
know.
it. Totally killing it.
I'm trying.
There were
doing
there were
great.
big shoes to fill, and I don't know.
Yeah.
We have a new
Yeah.
front runner, so it's great.
Thank you. I do
Yes.
appreciate that. I do.
No, everything you've been doing has been really appreciated and you're definitely stepping up. So thank you so much for that. Because
Well,
not
thank you,
everyone
guys.
does. Some people just take it as another hat to wear and
No.
go through the motions. But I get the feeling that you actually care. So it's showing through. So thank
Well,
you.
Believe it or not, it is personal to me. It's when you have someone that has a disability, it's a lot different so it is
Yeah.
personal to me.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, I'm
Thanks for
glad
all
that
your
you're with
efforts.
us. Yeah.
Yes.
We love
All
it.
right. Did we have anything else?
So if we're moving on from that, then it's we're skipping over D, which we already covered, the MOD ADA grant update. And we're
Okay.
going to E, which is discussion, need for newly elected NCOD chairperson and membership drive.
Right. Okay. Is this the last item? Is this the-
Sorry, did I do that
the
out
king
loud?
kicker?
Yeah, you
did.
I know. It's a conversation that has to be had. I mean, obviously we need new members, so that's we're back.
And
to
I
our
didn't write my
usual-
email. I didn't write my letter for the paper yet. So I have that as an action item.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
everyone just keep your eyes and ears open, and for any potential new members. But we do need to talk about come January. I cannot remain chair by law. We can have co-chairs, but I can't be one of them. And I know that Sean is not able to, and Lisa, we spoke, and I know that do you mind sharing any update on if you're
There isn't an update, and I would be willing to. I'm not moving anytime soon, so I would be willing
Okay.
to I would not want to be alone,
yeah, okay,
just because my work is really pretty taxing.
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, my
right.
job.
Well, I just basically, I mean, if everybody can just think about it and maybe consider if one of you might be willing to co-chair with Lisa, that can work. Or if you're willing to just do it yourself. I mean, I make the job look like it's a lot, but it's really not that much. The main thing is getting the agendas together into the clerk's office on time. And now that we have a different format, I'm not even able to do that by myself anyway.
Well, and
Kristen's
I
been-
do feel like that kind of fits within the secretary role. So I think that at least kind of frees up one thing from the
Yeah,
subsequent chair. So it's actually kind of good that we made that change when we did, Jenny, I think, because I'm
yeah,
perfectly capable of making a little bit of a better note in my revolving calendar to get that in the weekend before or the week before at the end of the week and doing the
yeah.
membership reminders.
So the
So
co-chairs
that,
can just send you the notes on what should be on the agenda, and then you can put it together and send it.
Right.
I make it a responsibility of mine to obviously send out the reminders to everybody. Obviously I run the meeting, but not without help. And you're sort of the boots on the ground. If someone comes looking for some advice or some advocacy, you might get reached out to, but it's not, as big a responsibility as you might think. And we have such a great team right now that I think that we can make it work if someone is willing to step up and work with Lisa. And I'll be staying on as a member because I am allowed to do that. So I won't be going away. I just can't be chair. So we don't need to make a decision tonight or have anyone, be on the spot or say they want to do it now. But everybody think about it, and you can reach out to me privately if you'd like. But it's going to be on the agenda every month until we sort it out. And we have a few months, basically until I get I'm
Installed.
having a
sworn in,
sworn in.
Sworn in.
Thank you. I was having a little brain spur
which
there.
is January, right, Jenny?
January, correct. So, and I'm not sure. I feel like it's like, like inauguration day, like the 21st or something. But I could be wrong. It could be earlier in the month. So, I'd like to have it squared away by January, and we'll just continue plugging along from there. So on that note, is that the last of the agenda? Yes.
No, this the last
Oh.
one is the Maritime. Did we talk about the Maritime Museum curb cut? I think that's the last
We
time.
did. That was in Dennis's
Okay.
That was in
coordinator
Dennis's
update.
updates. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we're
All right.
good. Okay. All right. Well, does anyone have anything they want to bring up or comment on?
I sent an email to someone before I went on vacation last month, and I don't know if anything happened or it was discussed, but there's at Joppa Park.
Oh, yes.
Where those, yeah, was
Dennis,
anything?
do
It
you
was.
want to,
This was the bicycle. My wife was on her bicycle, and there's this little lip of the curb. It forms like a, I don't know, half-inch or quarter-inch lip.
Yeah. So what I did with that, I jumped on it right when I got it. I think it was probably a couple of weeks ago, 4 weeks ago,
Oh.
maybe.
Oh, 6 maybe,
Okay.
something like that.
So I investigated it and I met Tony Finari out there, and he kind of explained the whole situation. I also met Liz Reed out there too, because she did some of it. Tony did some of it, and then the homeowner did some of it. So
Mhm.
they're not really considering it a crosswalk. They're more considering a section of it a sidewalk. So what they did was because of the existing condition and how they have to get that gutter line for the water to kind of
Yeah.
pool away from that
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
it creates that lip. So what they did
Mhm.
on either side is they did a tactile warning paver on either side. So you have
Oh.
handicaps access onto it and then across it. But yeah, if you come off the side of it, then you can have an issue, but it's an existing condition issue. It's because it's an old section of
see.
the street.
Right. So
It is on the
it's-
radar, but I kicked it up and I gave it to the chief of staff and everything. So it is on the radar, but I don't know what they really can do to fix the situation.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, but they did put something down, you said?
There's a tactile warning paver on either end of the crosswalk. So you
Of the
have,
crosswalk.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the lip on the
Okay.
edge of it, that's the gutter line. If they got
Yeah.
rid of that, the
Yeah.
whole thing would puddle.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking maybe if they put some asphalt against the curb, like
Do
a
a little
little
patch.
angle, a little patch, and it would run all the parking spaces, because that goes from the crosswalk all the way to the ramp, basically, from the crosswalk that's furthest west. That's the crosswalk I'm talking about, across Water Street there.
Yep.
So
That's
so
actually not
it-
a bad idea, Brian. We
Yeah,
can,
I
So
mean-
you're saying there's a space,
so no, I'm saying
a
that
dirt
along
space?
along the whole curb from the crosswalk all the way up to the ramp and that homeowner area, there's a long lip. So it goes maybe 30 feet. I don't know how many feet it
probably
would be.
longer. I'd say longer.
It's longer, yeah. So the only thing I thought that might help is some sort of asphalt, kind of wedged in there at an angle to just, if people happen to go over that lip, a tire would kind of catch that asphalt rather than the slippery granite,
Yep.
And apparently, I mean, someone said that this has happened before in that area. So it's
Really?
just sort of I mean, that was the hearsay that the people that live around there see this happen occasionally, where a bicyclist goes up on there thinking that it's a flatter, connection there. So
Brian, it might not bring it into compliance, but like you
Right.
said, it will make it so somebody won't fall.
Is safer,
Yeah.
right? For
Right.
safety.
Yeah,
right,
well, that's an
right.
idea. If you can maybe
Yep.
bring that up to Tony and Lise,
I will. I
see what
like
they
that.
say. All right.
Yeah.
Thank
would
you for
be-
bringing that up. I meant to have an update on that for you. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I kind of almost lost track myself because it was before end of July, early August, or whatever that
Yep.
was. So, but
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
see if that works.
Yep. I'll drive that and we'll see where it goes.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Thank you.
No problem.
Great.
I have a note that our next meeting is October 14th, and I will be out of state at that time.
Okay.
So I will not be able to attend that meeting. I do have notes for updated minutes and some better budget tallying, and I will attempt to connect with Dennis about website stuff before all of that happens so that I can give Jenny, you my updates to present at that meeting, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great.
And we can wait on the finance report till you're in person to give it. That's fine.
Okay, I can put that, let's see. Well, we'll have a quarter, we won't have another quarterly report, October, November, December. Okay, so yeah, it'll be in the middle of the quarter, but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
get that
fine.
together.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to try to hop on that P&D meeting and
Okay, so we could call for a meeting adjournment, a motion to adjourn the meeting.
okay, second roll call. Kristen,
Yes,
Lisa,
Lisa is muted.
She's muted, but I'll say yes.
was that Brian?
Yeah.
Okay, Sean,
Yeah.
Colin?
Yes, this is Lisa. Sorry.
Okay.
Took me forever
Thank
to
you,
come off
Lisa.
of mute.
Okay, we got
All right, and-
everybody. So the meeting, Colin, did we get Colin? Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, all right, then,
So meeting
thank you
adjourned at
everyone for coming.
5:55. Thank you all.
Perfect, thank you so
Thanks,
much,
everybody.
and I will see the rest of you minus Kristen next month.
Sounds
care.
good.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.